Hello, you've caught me looking back at how things used to be.
You know, for no other reason other than it's been a while since I last did it, and also it gives me an excuse to show these awkward teen photos of the Access team. Lol, Dave. But also because it's nice to occasionally stop and reflect on how far you've come.
Video games have come a long way too, and since they're unable to look back at the past themselves, we're going to do it for them.
There are a number of series, all household names, that have been around for so long your life would feel empty without them. These are the games that push the medium forwards, graphically, thematically, gameplayily, so much so that when you turn back the clock and look at what are essentially these games' baby photographs, the change is always astounding.
Here are 7 beautiful video games we can't believe used to look like that.
Number 1. Grand Theft Auto 5 is the cherry on top of a franchise that has taken not just video games, but pop culture by storm. It's sold an eye-watering number of copies, continues to be the benchmark by which all other open-world titles are judged, and is such a commercial and critical success, even my mum couldn't ignore it.
97 on Metacritic and you can't even hijack a taxi!
Try holding down triangle.
Oh yes! Oh, get out!
GTA 5 is a gorgeous, rich, densely packed marvel of a game that thrusts its sword of satire through the guts of politics, reality TV, and even video games themselves. As a series, it's aged majestically because when we look back 20 years to where it all began on PS1, look at that. Oh, GTA, you were so young and innocent. You were so young, and still every bit as revolutionary as its current-gen counterpart. When GTA released on the original PlayStation back in 1997, it was an explosion of gameplay freedom.
You could go where you wanted, you could do what you wanted.
And what you wanted was to steal cars and drive them really fast all over the place. It was one of the first games I remember that didn't punish you for unplaying it, that is, ignoring all the go here now mission markers and poking the boundaries of the game to see if it flinched. It didn't. There was no, now don't assault civilians, or you're going the wrong way, the mission is back there. Grand Theft Auto just let you get on with it. And it was wonderful.
But you were only 10 years old when this came out, Robert, so you didn't actually play it, did you?
No.
No, you used to go round to your friend Darren's house and play Jungle Book Groove Party, didn't you?
Yes, Jungle Book Groove Party.
Our second entry is Final Fantasy, with recent release Final Fantasy 15, a serious contender for most obnoxiously good-looking game ever made. 15's handsomeness came as a surprise to precisely no one, seeing as how the series has been flaunting the graphical capabilities of whatever hardware it's graced for over 30 years. You could release 13 again now, and despite being a generation old, it wouldn't look out of place today. 10 and 12 embarrassed almost every other game on PS2. But what did Final Fantasy look like back in 1987?
That is so long ago that PlayStation wasn't even a thing.
Although luckily Final Fantasy Origins gave us a PS1 version of the series' first 2 installments, so we could see where everything started. And look, it started in a castle with 4 warriors of light on a mission to rescue a kidnapped princess. Final Fantasy fans will instantly recognise a few long-standing staples of the series, the job system and a black mage that's clearly had a huge influence on Vivi's character design 8 sequels later. Plus there's the whole world map thing and the going inside the main character's pants thing and the random battle thing.
It's just amazing. It's got the lot, airships too, but I didn't have enough time to get that far and capture them.
My favourite fact about Final Fantasy is that creator Hironobu Sakaguchi named it what he did as, at the time, it was seen as one last shot at success, the basket into which he threw all his remaining eggs, his Final Fantasy.
130 million sales later, and I think it's safe to say Sakaguchi-san did all right.
Come on, Dave, Nathan, Holly, let's go and rescue the prince.
Oh no.
Oh look, it's Lara Croft on PS4 in Rise of the Tomb Raider, one of the most thrilling, good-looking action adventures you can play. Incredible cinematic set pieces, believable performances, and a Thomas Cook catalogue worth of exotic locales for you to leap, climb and shoot at. This is Tomb Raider at the peak of its powers, so let's rewind 21 years and take a look back at where it all began. The original Tomb Raider on PS1. I remember this intro, our very first look at Lara, a flash of her face here, and man, she looks cool. I mean, there aren't very many people who could pull off sunglasses outside a snow-swept old tomb.
Then we get to see her in action for the first time, and oh my god.
Bear in mind the Matrix is still 3 years away from coming out at this point, and you can see why this blew everyone away. Lara twirls down from on high, shedding her cloak, twin pistols ablaze, definitely evil wolves who deserve it, filled with lead. This bloke is dead now, but who cares? Onwards to adventure.
And then you get inside the first area and your mind is blown yet again
by the fact it's an enormous, fully explorable, three-dimensional space, yes. But I remember what really got me excited was the fact that on the floor...
Mum!
Yes!
There are wolf prints on the floor! The wolves from the intro! They're still there in the game, in real time.
There were wolf prints on the floor. Oh my god, I could not get over that. I thought it was so clever. I just couldn't believe the attention to detail and the realism of it. And bang, just like that, I was immersed. And then there was the bit that inspired simultaneous fear and wonder like nothing else.
Mum!
What? No! Unless there's an incredible 20-foot Tyrannosaurus Rex chasing you in amazing 3D! I really don't care!
Entry number 4, and Gran Turismo Sport's imminent arrival on PS4 has reminded me how ludicrously good looking the series is, and to be fair, always has been over its 19 years of existence. Here it is looking lovely in 2017, and here it is in 1998 on PS1, being the best racing game ever and laying the foundations of a franchise that would become so good it would help create actual racing drivers.
I mean, when you've got something so realistic that your virtual skills are transferable to real life, you know your game is pretty good, don't you?
Extra kudos to the original Gran Turismo for being the only thing to ever ignite a spark of interest in cars inside my cold, dead heart. For instance, after playing GT, I knew a bit about different types of cars. I knew there were blue ones and white ones, and that if I wanted to drive around corners without crashing, you had to use these things called brakes.
No other game was teaching me this. I remember playing Ridge Racer Type 4 around my mate's house, which is a game where you actually speed up as you go round corners.
Well done for keeping it real, Gran Turismo. Look how far you've come. Entry number 5 takes us from cars to that other thing you find on birthday cards for uncles, football. I love myself a virtual kickabout, having poured my soul into either Master League or career mode in either PES or FIFA every year for the past... God, I don't want to count how many years it's been now, so I'll let the fact the first one I played was FIFA 96 do it for me.
Lots of years.
FIFA 96 was the first iteration of EA's now globe-conquering juggernaut to appear on PlayStation, and alongside such classics as Actua Soccer, was one of the first football games I ever played. Looking at FIFA's modest origins, it's hard to believe we now have football sims that accurately remodel every player's tattoo, alongside quarterly hairstyle updates, but back in the 90s, this was revelatory.
For instance, seeing football played in 3 dimensions and looking like it did on TV instead of just a top-down 2D game of checkers was pretty impressive.
For me, it was the ultimate wish fulfillment. Before the emergence of FIFA on PlayStation, I used to construct my own leagues using Subutio, scribbling fixtures and league tables and scoring charts in spare notebooks I'd stolen from the school stationery cupboard.
Sorry, Mrs. Flitters, it was me.
And now, video games meant I could do that same hobby, but with minimal effort. I remember being particularly in awe of the roundness of the ball and how it actually turned as it travelled through the air, and also of John Motson's magic commentary.
Oh! Well taken, header by Balboa.
Tekken is our 6th entry, a game so beautiful you can see every glorious shiny ab on every glorious shiny fighter. Roll back 22 years and you can't quite make out the iron sculpted stomachs of Heihachi and co, but it's still so unmistakably, wonderfully Tekken.
It's the sound that does it, the impacts, the whoosh as characters are thrown through the air.
It sounds like my childhood. It sounds like sneaking away from Chris Palmer's 8th birthday party at Hollywood Bowl and blowing all my pocket money at the arcade. It sounds like unwrapping my new PlayStation at Christmas and staring, unbelieving, at graphics as good as anything at the arcade now on the TV in my living room. The sound of dying and not having to stick another pound in the machine but simply having to press X.
The sound of freedom, of finally beating my dad at something without him letting me win.
It was simply fantastic. Thank you, Tekken, for still existing. Final entry, and you've probably already guessed it. 2 years on and Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, is still one of the best looking, deepest and most versatile sandboxes on PS4, with peerless stealth gameplay and a cardboard box in which you can slide down sand dunes. The origins of this PlayStation heavyweight,
They go back 30 years, beyond the original Metal Gear Solid on PS1, beyond even the birth of PlayStation itself.
all the way back to 1987, and a game simply called Metal Gear, which brilliantly you can now play in full as part of the Metal Gear Solid HD collection on PS3. Yep, this is where it all started. Snake infiltrating a base, big boss on the codec, guards patrolling, that music.
Almost brings a tear to my eye.
Look beyond the retro visuals and you'll find a game way ahead of its time. Stealth games were practically non-existent back when Metal Gear first emerged. The thrill of sneaking by enemies unseen was like nothing else you could experience, and it didn't take long before you could start playing about with guards in the same spirit as you do in The Phantom Pain. Ooh, a truck full of mines. And some guards on a predetermined patrol route. 1 + 1 = boom.
Amazing, endless fun. Even back then, Metal Gear was more about playing around than simply playing through.
It encouraged experimentation and laid the foundations for what was to follow. And what was to follow was the greatest series in the history of games, obviously. Thanks, Dave. So there we go, 7 beautiful games we can't believe used to look like that. If you can think of any other series with humble beginnings, let us know in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more of them every Friday. See you next week.